Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 119 of FPL BlackBox. I'm joined by an orange flagged Mr. Mark Summers.
Orange.
Well done. Well done for making it. I feared the worst, not going to lie.
Yeah, I'm going to have to hit the mute button when I have to cough, but hopefully that's not too frequently. I'm all right. I'm running a bit of a temperature, but I'm okay. I was saying to you, you played your wild card when you had COVID, and then I got ill, and I've chose to play my wild card.
Yep.
Got it wrong, haven't we? Don't play a wild card when you're not feeling under the weather.
Or is there a correlation between playing the wild card and getting
the anxiety yeah, maybe that's it, but no, I'm all right. I'm flagged, but I'll get through it, I'm sure. So yeah, I couldn't miss it given that the wild card is active, could I?
No, well, I wouldn't have let you miss it. This is a big week because I've got like 9 things that I need to work out on this stream, and BlackBox does normally help me kind of make some decisions. I'm interested to know what you think I should do. We're going to see your wild card team, mild card team, should I say? Although annoyingly, it's a mild card team that looks incredibly strong.
It picks itself, I think.
Yeah, so be prepared. Everyone with low team value like me, be prepared to be very envious. Let's hello to everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us a bit earlier on this Thursday. A bit of a random time and day for us to be doing this. Daniel H, Jesus has his 3rd stream today. Yeah, I know, and the FPL show tomorrow. And I have no idea what I'm doing. So it's.
I love the fact you're doing loads of content when in a week where you're doing I haven't got a clue what you're doing.
I did 606 yesterday with Chris Sutton and Bruce Ball. One Sutton death, won my dignity back after the humiliation last time I was on it, which is good. Nige Fowl says cure for a cold, a few cloves, and a Southern's comfort.
A little. I've got a cuppa at the moment, but a dram of whiskey might help. Yeah, didn't think of that. I'll think about it. Purely medicinal.
And George has just said that Matoma is not starting tonight. Adingra will play. Interesting if he doesn't.
We're talking about Adingra later, aren't we?
We've got a little section on him. Hello to our new member, just the one member who's joined in the last week, the Godfather tier, Stuart Thompson. Welcome. If anyone does want to get involved, do consider becoming a member. Join the WhatsApp chat. There's like a prediction league, and you can join the Black Box leagues and all that thing. And Mark and I will do a welcome video at some point. It will happen.
We certainly will.
We say. Yeah, maybe I should take that off the perks because we are definitely running a bit behind.
Well, not being fully fit for the last 2 weeks doesn't help.
Well, no, and
there's always injured.
Break, I know. Yeah. We honestly, we will get around to them. A few people saying the stream is lagging. It says excellent connection, and I can hear
it's
you
fine. It's fine for me. It's fine for me.
Okay, we'll just carry on then. If lots of people say that it's a problem, then we'll do something about it. We've got lots to talk about today, Mark. Obviously, wildcard teams. We've got an amazing Great in the Goods league where every single person got a green arrow. Which
unbelievable. I've never seen everyone get a green arrow. I think this is a first. I mean, Greyhead didn't confirm it, but I can't remember a time where someone hasn't flunked it and got a red arrow.
I mean, I got the smallest green arrow to not let the side
almost
down.
grey.
Imaginable. Imagine getting a grey arrow at 2.6 million. We've got some a screen I'm going to show in a minute, which should hopefully make people feel a bit better if they're not doing so well, like me, too. And then we've got all the normal good stuff, all the stats and tables and analysis. But I think everyone's just here to see your wildcard, to be honest, Mark. But we'll get to that in a bit. Let's start with what I just promised. Let's start with it's fun, right? You did a little bit of digging into kind of previous seasons, and the beauty of doing Black Box over the years is we can see where we were at different stages throughout the years. So this is our first season. Look at that. The yellow, very similar.
You don't look old enough to be able to grow that moustache yet, do you?
I had to point out I was doing Movember at the time.
Right.
That wasn't an actual appearance decision. I shave. It's
nothing against mustachioed gentlemen.
I look a bit kind of porn starry, don't I?
You do a little bit, yeah. But yeah, very fresh face there with a rank of 1.3 million.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's me with my full-on curtains, and that's I'm not talking about the ones at the window. 869k. So not bad, were we? Not bad in that period. This was ahead of Gameweek 10, of course, wasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, because you kind of think like around the 2 million mark is not going to be, isn't a great start, but this is kind of where a few people find themselves now. Where did we finish that? I think we both went on and finished about 100k ish, something like that.
The first season, that was when I did all right, wasn't it? That was. Let me have a look. I'm pretty sure I did. I came 2k in the world or something.
Yeah, was that? Oh, that was the first season we did it, wasn't it? When you finished really high. Yeah.
So I started. 2061. I came in the world, which was a good start. And then after that, the next 2 seasons I disappointed. But do you want to get to 21, 22? Because
I think so. Still a lot of people saying buffering and cutting out.
Yeah, apparently it's a YouTube thing today because people have said that they've had it on other videos as well. It's end.
Okay.
So I don't know what's going on.
I can hear you fine, and it still says live. So
yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't know.
Not any issues this side. So we'll just press on for the podcast anyway.
Let's just carry on. And then going back to 21, 22.
Look at those ranks.
Look at you there. You look very glamorous. I like the blue kind of theme as well.
The blue works, doesn't it? Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we were having a flying start to the season. I was 41,000. You were 89,000. I went on and finished 4k. You were what, about 180?
156k I finished. So I slipped from there. Game week 10 was a high point of the season, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprising, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was a great start. I thought this was ever by Game week in a much better place there.
Mm-hmm.
Not much better, but better. And you were yeah, really?
Yeah, no, yeah, I'm happy with that. And then last year, oh God, I mean,
This is it, isn't it?
look
at this. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was 1 million at this stage, and you were 5.5 million.
5.5 million, and then the next week I was 5.6 million. I got a red arrow at 5.5 million.
I didn't realise you were that bad at this stage.
Yeah, so there you go. If you're worried where you are now, 2.6, and where did I finish? I finished 145k in the world from there.
And you were unlucky not to finish in the top 100k, I think, because you were flying towards the end of the season. Yeah,
so I turned it round admittedly with the second wild card that we got at Christmas, or with not the wild card, but the extra free transfers we got at Christmas. So I couldn't believe how game week 10 I was 5.5 million. That's terrible, isn't it? Really,
I thought 2.6 was bad enough. Yeah,
I'm amazed I turned up, to be honest.
I know,
at that point.
I know.
There you go.
Well, you did drop out after Christmas, but
I dropped out when I started doing better.
You did.
So it's like, yeah.
There's definitely something funny going on with the stream. There's a few people saying there's like strange noises and things, but I can't hear any, and you sound fine to me, and the stream is working from what I can see on the thing. So
yeah,
definitely something weird going on with YouTube.
Have you clean feed?
Have I what?
Are you recording?
Yeah.
I'll stop recording this end in case that's it, but I don't think it will.
There is the odd like little beeping noise, which is weird, which I've never heard before.
No, okay. Anyway. I've paused the recording this side, so I don't think it's that. Because that's the only thing new this week. So
it sounds like an alien invasion at times.
I wonder whether the filters are going on the Roadcaster, but I don't know now how to stop it without starting the stream all over again. Do you want to do that? Do you want to start again?
No, well, you've turned it off now. You need the recording. So.
No, I haven't. I can't. I've only paused it, so that function is still on.
Okay.
Are people still? Yeah, I think we'll need to restart the stream. I think we'll have to start.
The thing is, though, if we restart it, there's nothing I can change. There's no.
No, but I'll turn my Roadcaster off in case it's that. I think we'll have to now, right? Because otherwise we've got to edit all this out of the podcast anyway. So
no, people are saying it's 99% good. Crack on.
You sure?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Okay.
If it's really bad, then let us know.
Well, if it's really bad, we're not going to have a podcast to put out because obviously we'll have to make.
Well, whatever you just did, there's been no little noise before that.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Did you do anything?
Yeah, I just paused it on the Roadcaster to record, but
it's fine now.
Yeah.
Turn off Space Invaders, Mark, says Shane.
Well, I don't know. Okay. All right.
Anyway,
let's carry on. But we're going to have to edit that 25 seconds out of the podcast.
Oh, that's good content, Mark. That's our best work. Excellent stuff. Let's take a look back at our game weeks. Then I've done this twice today already. I can't remember spending more time.
Yeah, how many times can you look at this team?
I mean, it
wasn't that bad. I mean, in a normal week it'd have been okay, but this week everyone did fly, didn't they? Because of the wild cards in 8.
Well, this was the thing. This is, when you judge yourself compared to everyone else, it's difficult. My light's gone off now as well. That's dramatic. But yeah, when people are posting scores of, I mean, did you see Seb's score like 115 or something?
Crazy, yeah.
Dallo
Absolutely
coming
crazy.
in, all that, absolutely nuts. But yeah, my team, nothing from the defence. Turner, Gabriel, Cash, Adogi, 55 minutes.
Yeah, when it happened, I was I did kind of like feel sympathetic towards the Adogi owners because it was on 58 minutes, wasn't it? 59 minutes.
Yeah, 55 minutes. Yeah, and
55. Right.
And Postecoglou said that as soon as the second goal went in, he made the decision to take him off. So if the goal had gone in 5 minutes later, he would have stayed on. And look at that with the difference with Simicast going off at 62 minutes. If that had been 5 minutes earlier, people would have been losing it.
Yeah, but I guess the doggy was an injury and the Simicast was tactical. So,
Yeah.
we it would have been handy to know that a doggy had a slight injury concern going into the game, but we didn't know that.
Did he have it before? I thought he
Well, he
just
must
tweaked
have.
something in the game. I think he said at half time he felt a bit of
Oh, I
tightness.
see. Yes. So when Ange is saying that, he's saying that having assessed him at half time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But yeah, very frustrating. And then, I mean, Ward-Prowse and Diaby have just been absolutely awful for me since I bought them in on the wild
Ward-Prowse
card.
is playing deeper, right?
Yeah,
Playing
and
the six, effectively.
I know, reliant on set pieces, which just aren't really happening. He needs one more free kick to equal Beckham's record in the Premier League.
Yeah. Well, he won't get it until you sell him.
Well, he's going to get it this week, like guaranteed against Everton. And then, these are the players that are doing well for me. I mean, Salah, Maddison, Son, Alvarez and Haaland. Haaland, okay, wanted a bit more, but at least he scored. And four of those 5 players are in the thinking for me to sell this week.
Yeah. I think that, I'm losing a bit of a spoiler. I'm going to lose Maddison and Alvarez, but I think that there's tiers of players that you want, and I think Maddison and Alvarez are in that Trippier tier of you don't have to have them, but I think there's a tier above them of 5 players which not essential, but they're certainly wild card. Every wild card is going to have them, and I'm talking about every wild carder who wild carded in 8 or is wild carding now are going to look to get the 5 in, and then you've got Maddison, Alvarez, Trippier, probably outside of that. So I think, for me, although Maddison and Alvarez are doing well for you, they're probably the right players to consider selling.
You think?
I would say.
Well, we're gonna have a look at obviously at some of their stats a bit later on. Alvarez feels like maybe the one that is doing well, but there might be kind of other options that are going to do better. I think Maddison is a hard sell though.
He is. I mean, he could be top tier this year. He could be in the top 3 or 4 scorers. I mean, he has been to this point. His numbers are fantastic, but Son probably has the edge over him, I think, from what I saw. Just the fact that he's playing centrally. Maddison does tend to drop deep in matches, doesn't he? He obviously got the goal when he got beyond Son and Son set him up. But you got to think that, let's not forget that Son, it can be creative as well as being a centre forward, as we saw making the goal for Maddison there. I think I prefer Son. I think in the pecking order, he's just above him. I mean, Son could be the leading point scorer of the season, couldn't he? Madison will probably be in the top 5, but you can't have them all. You just can't. So,
well, unless that you're you and you.
Well, I couldn't. I couldn't have Maddison and Alvarez as well because, as you see, I had to lose those 2. So even with the team value I had to make some compromises. I think. Yeah.
For anyone having issues with the stream still, try just reloading it and then set it back 10 seconds. As well, and there's a few people in the chat saying that's fine, no lag, no issues, my stream is fine. The majority of people are saying no issues now, so I think you pausing that thing has fixed it up. But yeah, just reload and knock it back 10 seconds. Let's look at your week then. Another week where you beat me. Another 13 points gained. Between, how many points is it now between us? About 80, 85, something like that?
I've given up looking, to be honest.
I did that last year and you bloody clawed it back. But yeah, talk us through your team. Because
Turner just at 1 point, very disappointing. Looked like he was going to be in for a clean sheet and bonus, but then Forest capitulated spectacularly, as was the way last season. Thought we got over that, but yeah, the subs were difficult from Cooper. I think he had a bad day, to be honest. I mean, Luton are going to go route 1, don't you? So set pieces and long balls are where they're going to get back in the game. and we took Bolly off, who's our most dominant defender. I mean, Cooper said after the game he had to because of the travel back, but he had Niakate on the bench, who's quite a dominant centre-back. He should have brought him on, really, even though Bolly's right side. I'd have just brought Niakate on. I think he got that wrong, and then we'd have been all right, I think.
How can you concede 2 goals?
I know. Well, it was laughable. Absolutely laughable. You know, a slip at a free kick and bad marking, and then Worrell got outstrengthed by what's it, Adebayo, is it? Yeah. So it's he's a big, strong unit, but I think Bolly would have dealt with him. Niakate probably would have done as well. Worrell just didn't have enough to deal with it. So, but it was scripted, wasn't it? They're going to knock long balls into the box. The minute he comes on. So and the thing is, earlier in the season, we were playing 5 at the back, 3 centre-backs. So why not go to 3 centre-backs? There's no shame in that when we're 2-0 up. Go 3 centre-backs. I don't know why he didn't do that. But anyway, Forest fans will question that. Didn't get a clean sheet. Defence was Burn 6, Cash 2, Trippier 10, Maddison 9, Sterling 2, Diaby 2, Salah 16, Son 14, Alvarez 9, Haaland captain. Yeah, Trippier's was the difference between my team and yours, right?
When he got an assist again in the first 4 minutes. And then I watched it back and it's like a little click on and then Murphy just hammers it in from outside of his foot.
He looks good in every game, and if you watch them, he gets forward so much now, and his delivery is so good that you bet on him getting a return every game. I know he's not going to, but you watch Newcastle expecting Trippier to get something now.
Yeah,
I think.
he's just killed me, really has. And I put together a wildcard team in Gameweek 6 that had him in. Didn't go for it, and I can't even imagine how many points that's probably cost me over that run. So. Yeah, fair play. You got him in early. You got him in ahead of that Sheffield United game. I know a few people did as well. And it's done really well. So So how many players have you lost from this lot then?
7 in total, but if you discount the free transfer, because what I did do straight away, I did Sterling to Bowen straight away as my free transfer because I wasn't going to play the wild card at that point. And then something happened on Sunday. I can't imagine what it was, but something made me think that maybe I should play the wild card on Sunday.
Would you say that you were a little bit afraid of going into this week without Watkins, Mark?
I don't think that fear was a factor, despite the name of the title. I think what happened on Sunday was, I saw the version of Watkins that I didn't expect to see. Really, I have watched Villa this season, and in the first half he skewed that chance that Diaby set up past the post, and I thought, oh, there you go. See, that's what I mean. That's the Watkins I know. Missing chances. And then when he got that goal, though, that goal just basically was like, when you watch a player and you think, okay, that's the kind of thing I don't expect of you. I don't expect that kind of goal from you. Number one, I didn't expect him to cut back and shoot, because to do that, you've got to have confidence in your ability at the time, especially try and beat the keeper on the near post. Number two, I didn't expect him, having attempted that, to hit the target. And so for me to see that goal, it was like, okay. He is at a different level. And I said on the show that I didn't think he was at that elite level in terms of an FPL asset. But I think what I saw, and then you look at the fixtures that they've got over the next 3, I think it would be folly not to go and try and get him in. I look at it and think the opportunity here is to get Watkins, to get Saka for the Arsenal-Sheffield United game, and to get on the SuperChats bandwagon, which I think that, although it hasn't really taken off yet, even though he got the clean sheet, I don't think there's any concern that he starts games, and he's going to be in till beyond Christmas, I would have thought. So I look at it and think the opportunity is there for Saka, for Watkins, to get on SuperChats, to maybe get on someone like Gordon or Palmer, who could turn out to be absolute bargains. And that was enough. I mean, in any week, given the team I had, there wasn't going to be an obvious week to play the wild card. I was never going to look at my team and go, oh, I'm in shit creek, I've got to play the wild card, because I already had Salah and Haaland already. I had Trippier. I have some of the key players to have, and I had good team value. And I had a couple of players to get rid of, Sterling, but I could have done that with a free transfer. So I was never going to have a crisis, I think, before game week 19. So all I was keeping it for was is it going to help me get through the blank and the double game week? And I looked at it and think, well, if I'm going to lose one of Alvarez and Haaland with the wild card, I'm only going to have Haaland to worry about when it comes to the blank. And I can probably navigate through that for a free transfer. So
I hear a lot of things, but I was privy to when you first wildcarded, and the team you sent was maximum Arsenal. You've gone hard on Arsenal. You'd sold all your Spurs assets, and then you were debating selling Haaland for a bit, and you had a Haalandless team. And the wildcard team you put together isn't that different to what you've got. You've got Saka and Watkins in, and then Simicast. That's about it, really. So yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, no, I think that.
Do you regret it? Do you regret playing it?
No, I don't think so. I think it's important to get Saka and Watkins before this week. Okay. And, I mean, the price wise as well. Watkins is going up again, so that's 0.2. Saka will go up, I imagine, before the deadline, so that's a 0.1 on him. So if you don't move now, that's another 0.3 you've got to find if you want them later. I think what Watkins showed is I need him for these 3 games, and maybe he's a season keeper. I don't think he is. I think that's a bit bold, but I think having Saka and Son and Watkins is useful for this week. I think, and just paying more for them next week.
And in game week 12 when they've got Fulham and
Burnley. I mean
at
the prices are aggressive, and I'm this season I'm all about trying to keep a handle on my team value, and that's behind it as well. Yeah, so I think I've got the main players covered now, unless someone emerges, like Rashford comes into form or something like that. I think, So I think I don't regret it. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Good. This is the great and the good table. Look at that, sea of green across the board. I've even with a green arrow, I've still dropped down though. I think I got the lowest score out of everyone this week, which with 73 points is kind of a bit gutting, but it's put me right back down 1 point ahead of FPL Guns. Last year's winner. Look at my rank change, 45k, 2.6 million.
But Haaland captain, look at it. Right, apart from the top 2 scores, so the top 2 scores had Salah captain. So that tells the story, wasn't it? I mean, and the reason why they had Salah captain is because they wildcard in game week 8.
And went for no Haaland. I mean, the no Haaland strategy, as of right now, has been an absolute massive success, hasn't it? Because the big players have come in, and it's forced people to take the captaincy off him and give it to Salah, who's got 30 points. And Haaland's
I mean, they might have put 10?
It
on him anyway. I mean, I was saying to you, wasn't I, that the review was starting to tip Salah over Haaland as captain. So people who follow analytics may have gone with Salah captain even if they had Haaland. So we can't say it's for definite, but no doubt it does help, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, having that decision made for you.
Yeah.
It's interesting because there are people still talking about selling Haaland. I've been kind of flip-flopping around. I don't think I'm going to do it, is where I'm currently at right now.
Yeah, the theory is that if you did it in game week 8, it looked right then, but now in game week 10, it looks harder to settle on. And I kind of think that I'm in that camp as well. I think that I looked at it for sure, but I think that you're nearer those 2 fixtures, the Bournemouth and Luton games, aren't you? And because of that, it's, you'd be getting rid of him, and then it wouldn't be long before you would be very worried about not having him. I mean, Bournemouth at home could be won straight away. Yes, Salah's got good fixtures, and you could put the captaincy on him. But as we know in the past, it's one thing not captaining Haaland, it's another thing not owning him at all, right? Because of the EO effects, right? It depends if you're worried about that, but most are. Luke says he's not, but I think that most managers have a little bit of that in their mind when they're getting rid of a player. I think EO does play a part. So I think I'm in the no-sell Haaland camp now. Well, my wildcard reflects that. But in game week 8, I may have been more bold with it.
I mean, the other option is to sell him. Actually, let's go for the long ticker. Is to sell him game week 12, because that's when they play Chelsea, Liverpool, Spurs, Villa. So that's 4 fixtures in a row you're not going to captain him for. So it kind of feels like if you've kept him until now, give him United, give him Bournemouth, and then maybe there's a decision to make in 12, right?
The thing is, why you've got to ask yourself why you're selling him. You don't want to sell him just to get. I mean, people have sold him and got Trent, and I love Trent, but I think the value there is out there with Simicast and with midfielders like Gordon. The need to spread the funds isn't that great, I don't think. Whereas if you're getting Haaland to make sure you can get Salah, to make sure you can get Watkins or Saka or Son, then yes. But if you've got most of those players or all of those players and you're selling them just to get more funds across your team, I don't know if that's worth it. That's what I would say at the moment.
Yeah. We've had a super chat from Dow. I mean, he's gone through the wildcard team. I don't think we're going to go through all of them because we're going to be talking about these players as we go. But some of the kind of differential picks here really are Zuma, so getting on the West Ham defence, and Louise. I mean, what do you think of Louise, the penalty-taking Milivojevic of a few years ago?
Yeah, I mean, can it continue? I mean, the thing is, he's nicking Diaby's points at the moment because he's getting on the end of stuff that's coming, on the edge of the box, isn't it? It's not falling to Diaby, it's falling into Louise, who's raiding the box, and he's taking his chances. And of course, the penalties have come, have been prolific for Villa. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, in that bracket, you have got the likes of Gordon and Palmer and Adjinga, as you're going to mention later. So you have got good options there. I think the best three to have are still Cash, Diaby and Watkins. That's what I'm going with. I think Diaby has been a little bit unfortunate. I watched the game, and while it was all about Watkins, there was a couple of opportunities where Diaby could have had the ball cut back to him on the penalty spot, and he would have been a clear shot on goal.
That's what the stats
and
don't
they
tell
didn't
you.
find him. No, they don't tell you that. No. And the way Villa play, it's clearly that Watkins is there to stretch the defence, and then the midfielders, McGinn, Lewis and Diaby, are holding back to get the cutbacks and the fullbacks, right? So their fullbacks got the option of playing it into Watkins or cutting it back. And at the moment, they're cutting it back to Lewis, but that could easily turn into Diaby. Diaby could get those balls back from the fullbacks and convert them. He's done it a couple of times already, and had one goal disallowed against Palace, and he got the goal against Burnley from a Cash cutback, I think. So that definitely is the tactic. It just hasn't fallen for him. It's fallen for other players. But that could change. So I'm sticking. You can't sell Diaby going into Luton at home, can you? I mean, that for me would be a mistake.
So he's staying on the wild card.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a wild card at the moment. I mean, Gordon was the temptation. I really like Gordon, but I think I'm going to have to hold off on getting Gordon until Villa's fixtures have passed. And Diaby's been rested today as well, hasn't he? He's on the bench, so yeah. Bailey's just been annoying because he's been coming off. He scored tonight, comes off the bench and scores. Yeah, he's like. That's another player who's profited where Diaby should have been. But
that goal he scored the other day was so frustrating. Let's take a look at some data then. Let's start with the defence. Team data defence, Man City at the top. Not many of us investing in the defence. Arsenal second. Now there is investment in some of their players. Gabriel, obviously I'm imagining is going to come in your wildcard team. Seeing a lot of people buying him already. Chelsea in third, and then Newcastle in fourth. I mean, what do you make of it? I mean, for me, the defence is quite easy if you're picking defenders at the moment. There isn't a huge amount of choice. Estupiñán coming back might change things a little bit. Yeah,
I think we're going to look at him. I mean, I think that for me, though, he's only training on grass at the moment, and he's training on his own. So I don't know how many weeks away he was. I have got a wildcard team at the moment that doesn't have Diaby, has Gordon, but has Estupiñán as a fifth defender, which I kind of like, and the model's kind of like. It's very similar to, in terms of expected points, to my current wildcard team. So I am tempted, but I just worry when Estupiñán's going to be back, and then there's also the rotation once he is back anyway. He can't play every game Europe and domestic, can he? So he will miss some games, I imagine, over Christmas in particular as well. So, and the Brighton defence just isn't strong. So you're banking on attacking returns from Estupiñán, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
Which you are with Cash, but I mean, the Villa defence statistically is no stronger, but I just think at the moment Villa are a little bit more solid than Brighton. They're less gung-ho, I would say. So that's my impression anyway. Maybe I'm wrong. Data says otherwise, doesn't it? But
interesting at the bottom. I mean, you've got Sheffield United there. James, Planet FPL, was talking about McBurney and how important he is for giving them a bit of an outlet to like get the ball to him so they can kind of absorb a bit of pressure. He's out against Arsenal.
They've got so many injuries.
So many
injuries. Yeah, all over the place. Yeah.
They're in big trouble, and going away to Arsenal.
I mean, I don't know what kind of team they're going to manage to get out. They've got centre-back injuries. I mean, Baldock might be coming back, and I guess he might slot into a back three maybe if he's fit. They're just desperate. They're having to play people out of position. Robinson's playing centre-back, I think, at the moment. Arsenal could tear them up, couldn't they?
Yeah.
That's the thing. But Arsenal, they got 4 at Bournemouth, but other than that, we haven't really seen them with the handbrake off this season. They've played okay. They've got through games. They've won them by narrow margins other than the Bournemouth game. But this could be the one, if they get an early goal, maybe we see the floodgates, which is why I think getting an Arsenal attacking asset is important, because you just don't know. Any game against Sheffield United, as we saw with Newcastle, could just blow up, couldn't it?
Well, they're finally fully fit, aren't they? Because now they've got Jesus. We think is going to be okay. Martinelli's back. I mean, one question we just had a super chat from Fantasy Football Chronicles about Zinchenko, because it was interesting that he didn't play the other night for them. Luke's got him, I think, and Fantasy Football Chronicles has got him as well. I'm on the wildcard pick. I mean, if he doesn't play, then there's going to be some more worries about bloody Gabriel, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, because what we'll see then is Partey coming in, and then the inverted fullback go the other side. Yeah, so that is a concern if Tomiyasu comes into the team, because that would suggest that, because Zinchenko's been the inverted fullback all last season, and when he came back, we thought, that secures Gabriel, because they'll need a left-sided centre back if Zinchenko doesn't play. So. Yeah, I'm worried about that, a little bit worried about that. But I guess you can go Gabriel and move off him. Zinchenko, you can move off 4.9. You can get to some decent defenders around that price. I think I'd hold him for this week, but it is a concern for sure. Yeah.
And then looking at the attack, so Arsenal right down in 13th. So we mentioned about it not really clicking for them so far. An XG on penalty per 90 of 1.36. That's low. I mean, that's lower than Wolves. That's lower than West Ham. That's lower than Chelsea, who have struggled for big parts this season.
Yeah, and the fixtures haven't been evil, have they? I mean, it shows 3.33 is the difficulty of their game so far. Not the highest by any means. But they've just been playing within themselves. Like, we saw Arteta tinker with tactics. He obviously had to bring in Havertz and Rice, and he brought them in straight away. That changed the fluidity a bit, maybe. Then, like we said, he was playing Partey as the inverted fullback. And that... Zinchenko for me is more creative in there than Partey is. I think Partey's more of a destroyer than Zinchenko. So that maybe interrupted things. They missed Xhaka, believe it or not, I think, because Havertz wasn't doing the things that Xhaka was doing. He's a different player. So maybe that stalled them a bit. Maybe they're going to come out of this now. They've got everybody fit. Martinelli's fit, obviously. Now they've got competition for players. Jesus, though, has got maybe a knock that could keep him out. So, yeah, it's a concern, but Sheffield United, you've just got to back them to win that comfortably, haven't you? That's the thing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be jumping on them otherwise if they didn't have Sheffield United and Burnley in the next three.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
one thing as well that really surprised me with this table is you look, Man City top. Oh, wait, no, they're not. Are they second? No. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth.
Yeah.
Eighth for XG on penalty per 90, below Everton.
That is it. When Luke was on, I said, is your decision to sell Haaland based anything off what we're seeing from City data-wise? And he was saying, no, I didn't really feed into it. But I think, 2 weeks later, where they haven't shifted from that, it's beginning to be a thing, isn't it? I mean, this is from StatsBomb. This was posted in the week, and it shows that, according to the StatsBomb XG, which I think they use a different model, I want to say.
No, they don't anymore, because they've switched to Opta.
Right. So the XG of the last 3 games is the lowest it's been with Pep in charge of Man City. And as you can see, there is a downward trend on the XG, which is the green line here. So at the moment, they are, not as fluid, and they're not creating the volume of chance and quality of chance they were previously.
Which isn't totally surprising, because they've lost Gundogan, Mahrez and De Bruyne.
Yeah.
So 3, amazingly creative players in the side.
Yeah, and I think Pep said that, didn't he, in the interview last night? He was saying about when he was defending Haaland, he was saying you've got to remember that Gundogan and De Bruyne aren't there to provide the balls that they were last season. So it's going to take time for City to adjust and Haaland to adjust to that. And you watch them play, and they're much more methodical in their build-up. Obviously, Alvarez is probably the chief creator. They've never really had chances created from out wide until Doku arrived, and he's adjusting, but he's looking better. I think Doku is probably going to be the key to getting Haaland.
Or James Milner.
Yeah, he roasted him. He's a fantastic winger, though. Really, really. I mean, he played against Forest pre-season, and I was like, oh my God, who's this guy? Absolutely tore us apart, not surprisingly, because I think we had some of the kids out, and it was crazy how good he was. So I think when he's getting there, he's getting to a point now he's becoming a regular, isn't he? He could be key to getting.
Well, I think they need him, because you look at Grealish, for example, on the left. he's become quite like you said, like a methodical player, hasn't he? Like he gets the ball on the left, he kind of cuts in a bit, he drops back, he passes it back to the midfield.
Yeah.
He's quite boring to watch. I find
His job is
Greenish.
to draw the defence out. His job
Exactly.
is to get the ball and draw defenders to him, which creates space for others to find
And Pep loves
Haaland and
that.
Alvarez.
Pep loves that control and everything like that. I get it, but they having a Mahrez in there, that kind of wild card pick who can beat a man, who can cross the ball, do that. I think they need one player like that in the team. And that looks like it's going to be Doku. So.
Yeah, because again, either side, it forces a double up in defence, doesn't it? It forces the defending team to, support the fullback, and that's going to create gaps elsewhere. But I do think they lack that player with a killer ball, don't they? They haven't really got that player. Foden perhaps could, Alvarez perhaps could, but it's not their their top quality. I would say Alvarez is. For me, it's his movement and intelligence are his top qualities, and obviously he can finish, but he's not like De Bruyne, where creativity is his key attribute, and that's what they lack at the moment. And so Haaland's having to find. I mean, they have given him chances. I mean, his XG isn't low, as we'll see when we get to the forwards, but their team XG is lower than it's ever been under Pep, which is quite interesting.
Actually, Haaland's data is slightly better than it was last year. For this stage,
mainly because of the West Ham game, though, isn't it? One game.
Yeah, and I think if he'd scored a couple in that, there might be a bit of a different.
But last three, his XG has been down. I think there was.
And with Rodri out, they've really struggled. And it wasn't the whitewash against us that I thought it was going to be. I think we were unlucky not to get something like that. And from the second half performance, we had some good chances. Maybe should have had a penalty. Mitoma had a good chance as well. Funny team when you've got that much money invested in Haaland with the fixtures that they've got.
This is why I think the Alvarez decision. It's like, for me, if I want to keep Haaland, I've got to lose Alvarez, because having two City at the moment when they're not at their most fluid in attacking terms, with the fixtures they've got as well. Let's not forget their bottom of the ticker. If you cut it to the next six, then if you got the next six ticker there, they're bottom, I think, or very close to the bottom. Yeah, so there they are. You've got United, Bournemouth at home, Chelsea away, Liverpool at home, Spurs at home, Villa away. It's like, apart from the Bournemouth game, they're all difficult. Chelsea away is not the easiest game
Manchester
now.
United at the moment.
Yeah, that's the next fixture. But I mean, I guess that could go anyway, couldn't it? But I look at that and think, do I want two City attackers over that spell? We said only a few weeks ago, it's mad that we're even contemplating having no City players if we get rid of Haaland. So... yeah, it is strange the conversations we're having at the moment about City.
Yep. I mean, Spurs are second for the team data attack over the season. So things are just clicking really, really nicely. Most chances per 90 of all teams. 18.6, heading up to 19, the only team to be there. And we're looking at selling Maddison and Son. Form v fixtures, right? Is because if we come back to Spurs' fixtures, they're not awful, but... the next six, I mean, they've got Crystal Palace away. I still think that's a tough game, even though
they've only shipped 3 goals at home all season.
Yeah, and then Chelsea, we know Chelsea can defend well. Wolves are on the up under O'Neill. 2 Villa, we know they're a good team. Then it's Man City, then it's West Ham. So they're not 5 games where I'm expecting loads of returns, and they're quite expensive as well.
No, so for me, it was like, again, like the Alvarez Haaland, it was I had Maddison Son. Can I afford to lose one? Probably can.
Yeah.
So, that's the way I look at it. I think we need to keep one Spurs attacker if you can afford to do that. And Son would be my preference, having seen them the other night. I think what was key the other night was Son looked like he wanted to complete the 90 and could have completed the 90, where we haven't quite seen that so far. So that, for me, convinced me that Son was worth keeping. Until then, we've been like, well, if he's going to go off from 70, 75, should we keep him? Because he's not there for effectively 25, 30 minutes of the game. I think that's going to change now. It looked like he was able to go the 90, and we might start seeing him get to 85, if not the full 90. So that convinced me to keep Son.
And then look at Newcastle at the top. I mean, we've got to mention them. I mean, they've got injuries to, lots of players. Barnes, Murphy went off injured last night. Isak went off injured as well. So we think it's probably going to be Wilson, Almiron, and Gordon as a front three. They haven't got a huge amount of other options, but they are top, and it's been an incredible start to the season from an attacking sense.
Yeah, does it make Will? I mean, it must make Wilson more attractive now. I did think, and was like, does that mean I should consider Wilson on the wild card?
We've always said it. We've always said as soon as one of them gets injured, bring in the other one.
But it's hard to, I think if I was going to lose Haaland, perhaps Wilson is a way you could convince yourself, but it's difficult, I think, that.
Yeah, and again, the fixture's not
does.
amazing. Wolves away.
No,
I can't see loads of goals with that. Arsenal, then it's Bournemouth. Okay, that's great. But then Chelsea, Manchester United. It's a decent run, but they haven't got any of like the Sheffield Uniteds and Burnleys and Lutons in it to target.
No.
I don't think.
No, and the thing is, like last season, we didn't really have whipping boys, whereas this season, Sheffield United are that, I think. I don't know if Luton are, but Sheffield United certainly look it, and Luton suggests they could go that way with the right opponent. Obviously, that wasn't Forest. But, I think with Newcastle, I do want to cover that Newcastle attack other than with Trippier. I do want to get Gordon, I think. So I'm thinking to hold Diaby until these next three are out of the way, then to get on Gordon, which means I'll have to pay more for him, but that's okay, I think.
We have got some gifts in the 5 million-ish bracket, haven't we? 5 to 6 million with Neto as well added into that. 7 attacking returns in a row for him. Gordon, Adingra, there's Palmer. There's so many. Even someone like Souček potentially with the fixtures they've got. Yeah,
Souček as well, and then Lewis, of course, right? Yep. So there's a whole cast of players that at the moment they're going, but the other names, they're going toe-to-toe with the likes of, Mbumo and players that, are up $1 million in price, so easily. I think there's value there. And then while value options keep coming up, it makes me think that keeping Haaland should be the way to go, but it's whether those value options keep delivering. I think Gordon will, though. For me, Gordon looks like a £7.58 million player.
Same. Yeah, and sometimes you just got to kind of jump on those gifts when they come. No one's complaining about lag anymore, so I assume that's sorted, all the sound.
That's good.
A nice message from SEO FPL. Yeah, BlackBox rules. Woo, that's the kind of
Thank
boost.
you, SEO. Sorry, I'm not fully fit. You can probably tell I'm under the weather, but I'll be back to normal next week for sure.
We have just
unless the wild card goes wrong.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Then I'll get a tummy ache.
Yeah. We have got just under 1,000 people watching live, which is great. Thanks for joining us. We know there's football on and other places you could be. I really appreciate it. Do drop us a like if you're enjoying it, and make sure you're subscribed, which you have to be to get involved in the comments if you want to.
Please sub. And
Nigel the Crab giving us a bit more money, Mark. I've got rid of Haaland, so you don't have to.
That's very nice of him.
Yeah.
I'd like to know why he's got rid of Haaland. What's he done with the money? What have you done with the money? And don't say, I've given it to you.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, what have you done? Who have you got, Nigel, to justify it? Every week I try and make an excuse not to show goalkeepers. Every week we end up showing them anyway, but I thought we need to touch on it because of the wildcard things. Was it just a straightforward Turner-Areola combination for you?
Well, it's not, because I think I might go Shakosha to save the 0-1. I'm toying with it. I'm looking at whether, because as I said earlier, I'm going to need to pay more for Gordon than he is now, and I don't want to get priced out of that move. I mean, every 0-1 I've kept an eye on, and in the name of keeping an eye on the 0-1, I might go Strakosha in instead of Turner. Now, Strakosha's
wild.
He's never going to play. I don't expect him to play, but he probably is the reserve goalkeeper most likely to play, because Flecken I'm not convinced by. And the thing about Turner is, by the time I come to the fixtures where I want to play Turner, I don't think Turner will be in goal for Forest by then. I keep saying this, I think it's going to come. Like, I keep saying the owner's Greek. We've got the Greek goalkeeper sitting on the bench, and
Turner's making mistakes as well.
And Turner and he's not. Yeah. I wouldn't say he's making. Well, he has made mistakes, and he's not being that convincing. For me, he should have saved that second goal for Luton. He got a knee to it, but I think I'd like to think my keeper could have done a bit better there. And if I was the Forest owner, I would be just tapping Cooper on the shoulder and saying, my boy's on the bench for you. So I think that's going to come. So if then Turner's not playing, you want to then maximise the value and go down to a 3-9 keeper, wouldn't you? And I don't really want to spend a transfer on that later. So I'd rather do it now and just play Areola every week. is what I'm thinking.
Play Areola everywhere. I mean, are you not a bit worried about
why
that?
not? No.
And no bench.
Well, if the keeper gets injured, then I've got to make a change, haven't I? Or I decide whether to have no keeper 1 week and make a change the following week. I think if Areola gets... He's going up in price tonight, isn't he? So he's going to be 4-3. So you're starting to edge towards your ability to be able to make a straight swap for Pickford anyway. Not that you'd want Pickford, but you know what I mean.
what a shout.
Well, yeah. Well, but like, you could go... Who else have you got here? You've got Steele at 4-3, right? So you'd have it... No, but if you were desperate, if Areola got injured and you needed to make a one-move transfer to get a keeper, you are going to have options if you need to do it that week without having to sell another player to get money, is what I'm saying. What are the chances of Areola getting injured? Yes, he could, but he's not playing Europe, is he? So he's going to have to get injured in domestic football. Does that happen? It might do, but it's not something I think you need to speculate about. I think that's an extreme occurrence, I would say. And he's a great keeper. I mean, he's bringing in the save points. His saves per 90 is still what, second or third. So he's still good for those save points. Clean sheets. Well, they have got better fixtures now. Let's be fair. They aren't. Their data defensively isn't strong, but their fixtures are a lot better. So I see he could get a couple of clean sheets over this run.
Yeah.
So I don't worry about having it. Don't
Okay.
worry about it.
I think it's fine. I think the only other option would be to go up a bit, and I don't think any of the other 4-5s are that great value. Raya at 4-8, but I mean he's been pretty ropey, hasn't he, for Arsenal since he's come in. Ramsdale must be thinking
Raya could get dropped, couldn't he?
You've got to think he's on thin ice with.
He was lucky last night punching it above his goal as well. That could have gone in. I mean, had that have gone in, there will be big question marks about him. So.
Areola's in goal tonight.
Oh, is he? That's interesting, isn't it?
Fabianski to return for the weekend.
Now I am more worried. Okay, thanks very much, Josh Stelling. I didn't notice that. So that is a bit odd, isn't it? Why would he put him in goal tonight?
And they're 2-0 down.
Yeah, I mean, he's first choice. There's no question for me he's number one. I don't know why Moyes would change that. He didn't let them down.
Well, Fabianski's nearly 40 now, isn't he?
I don't know. But I mean, that's a little bit worrying. Maybe they. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna concern myself with it.
Yep.
But for me, yeah, I think you have to maximise your value in goal. I think at the moment, when you look at the difference, look at the points per 90. There's not a major difference.
There never is there? A starter for West Ham with good fixtures at 4-3. Again, a gift. I think that he might as well just keep, just get. Yeah. Let's talk about defenders. Then, like I said, I think when I was putting together a kind of a mock wildcard. I think this is quite easy. I think the biggest decision is whether you find the money for Trippier or don't. I think you're in a very privileged position to be able to afford Trippier. Because there is absolutely no way I could put together a wildcard team which...
Gone up again, hasn't he?
Yeah, wouldn't have major things. I mean, he's up to 7 million now. He's actually on point 90. It's 0.36. It's not bad, but it's not get an assist every week type data. He's just been absolutely incredible. I mean, the points per 90 of 6.9, for a 6'5" defender is crazy.
But his chances per 90 is the highest on show here, isn't it? And you look at Trent. Trent is only on 1.7, so he's creating half the chances per 90 that Trippier is, which is surprising, isn't it? I'd expect Trent to be doing better than that in terms of chance creation, which is obviously reflected in his XGI non-penalty, 0.19. You expect Trent to be in the top 3 or 4, don't you? So what's behind that? Don't know. But,
well, it was interesting because I've been talking Trent up a bit this week.
You have?
Because I watched the Everton game and I thought, bloody hell, he is playing high up the pitch. He's definitely not playing as a DM. He was playing, obviously, he's staying mostly on the right, but he was drifting into the number 10-ish type role. And I thought, God, if he's playing this advanced, he's going to be a great option. Turns out he didn't create a single chance the whole match, which I find bizarre given how high up he was playing. I think there's a haul coming for him.
Yeah, we haven't got his open play crosses on here, but I mean he's playing a different type of pass. He's playing through balls, isn't he? He's playing trying to break the lines with the through ball rather than crossing from wide. And maybe that we know we've seen huge volumes of crosses coming from him in previous seasons, so he's not doing that as much. Salah is occupying a wide role more rather than coming inside. When he does come in, I mean, I think the play is, Trent looking for Salah over the top, and he was doing that in the earlier games. I didn't see it against Everton as much. So I don't know whether they're just adjusting to how they're going to use Trent and what what key he's using for the lock. But at the moment, he's not unlocking the doors as frequently as we'd expect for a player of his quality. So for me, I know you said earlier, why wouldn't you get Trent if you had the money selling Haaland? I agree with you, but you wouldn't sell Haaland, and one of the reasons being to get
exactly.
Trent at the moment.
It'd be a byproduct of the other players that you're looking to get. But
yeah.
I mean, Luton, I think, is a perfect game for Trent because, you watch that Everton game, look how far up the pitch he was playing. Luton are going to put everyone behind the ball, I'd imagine. And that is when he could be key to unlocking it. So I think there's a decent return for him coming in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're not stretching... You're not being maverick by saying Trent's going to have a big return soon. I think that's a given. Yeah,
this is what Nigel the Crab's paying all of his chat money for.
I'd be very surprised if he doesn't get a double figure in the next 3 or 4 game weeks. Yeah, but
how'd you get him? Yeah,
but Trippier's getting that every other week at the moment. So for me, I'd rather have Trippier at the moment.
Yeah, Nigel the Crab is spending his Haaland money on a midfield of Saka, Son, Salah, Maddison, and Bowen. There you go.
Very good.
That's what you can do. You haven't got to have a Gordon or a Palmer or a
No, that's the difference. Yeah. So you don't need an enabler in that midfield. And Bowen is a player I really wanted, and he's another one in that tier. I would say below the 5 players. There's Maddison, there's Trippier, there's Bowen. Players you don't have to have, but you really would like to have at this point.
Yeah. Dan, we answered your super chat, mate, right at the start. I remember doing it. So watch back, and you can do all the robot noises as well. Looking at some of the other defenders, I mean, there are a couple. I mean, I think with Destiny out, we might be looking. I mean, you haven't got him, we didn't have him, but I might have to be looking to move him out. If there's Gabriel that I've already got, I mean Dean potentially on the left.
Yeah.
If I didn't go for Watkins, for example, I could double up with Cash and Dean, and then have
I think
Diaby.
that's good.
Yeah, which I don't really hate. I mean, his underlying stats aren't great, and it's Luca Dean. Let's not forget
He'll
who
find
we're
a way,
talking
won't
about
he?
here.
He'll find a way of upsetting us somehow. But I've liked him this season, and his data was higher earlier in the season. He has slipped down. He slipped down the table somewhat, hasn't he? He's a long way behind Cash because Cash has got the goal for it. But then Cash, if you look at Cash and his chance creation, 0.2 chance per 90. He's not a supply of crosses, whereas Dina is 1.6 per 90 on the other side. So there's definitely one's a goal threat, one's a creator, the way it's looking. And that, Cash is coming in to get on the end of Dina's delivery.
Yeah. It's interesting with how those tactics have changed, because last year it was Moreno bombing forward on the left and Cash sitting back. And that was one of the main reasons why I didn't go for him at the start of the season, because I thought, he was. People were saying, he might get dropped for Concert because he's obviously looking for a more defensive kind of unit there. But Dean's actually not been as attacking as we've seen him in previous seasons, and Cash has been. Really
but that was one thing I did learn pre-season. I watched a few Villa games and I saw Cash was getting forward a lot, and I think he did start in right mid in one game as well, and that was enough to make me take the risk. It was risky, you're right, because I watched the Planet FPL Villa correspondent show, and they were talking about which Villa defender to go for, and it was like, I think they were saying that Pau was probably the wisest choice, Pau Torres, but Cash had the higher ceiling if you were willing to risk it, and of course that was just an open invitation to me. Of course I'm willing to risk it, former Forest player, and I like that way of playing. So.
We got the gift.
Off the back of that, I went Cash.
Chuck out whenever we.
Yeah. I do love Cash. Yeah, of course we can say that as well. So, yeah, that was enough to tip me over, and what I saw pre-season. So sometimes you do pick something up, don't you? That's just enough to make you. Well, I'll take that risk on that player. And when you're getting a 4-5 defender, you can afford to take that risk because you can move off him very, very easily, of course. So, yeah.
Interesting news coming out of Brighton. Mitoma does start tonight. Still Veltman, Dunk, Van Heck, Gross. Gilmore, Milner, Adingra, Fati, Matoma, Pedro.
It's a big side, that. They're taking it very seriously.
So no Ferguson, which is interesting because I would have assumed with Welbeck out, Ferguson would be leading the line in most games. I think that rules him out really as an option for us. Pedro and Fati is interesting because one of them's going to be the 9. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah, it's going to be worth watching this, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I mean, Ferguson's there to rotate with any of those, isn't he? Because Fati can play across the front three. So depending
Or
on
as a
where
striker,
Pedro's playing, or as a striker. Yeah.
I don't think
so,
he won't play on the right, Fatty.
so despite all the injuries, I still think the Brighton's a bit of a lottery.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's it. I was definitely expecting Ferguson to start tonight. Yeah, interesting to see what happens with that. One other player I want to mention in defence is Porro. Gutted.
Yeah.
I was absolutely gutted about Destiny going off. Porro looks the better pick, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, we said at the time though. But could you get to him? Could you afford him? Or
I can. Yeah, I could. Yeah.
oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Why didn't you do it then? Why did you get a doggy?
One of the main reasons I left like 0.8 in the bank when I wildcarded, and it meant I went Ward-Prowse over Bowen. That was a disaster, and it means I went Udogie over Porro, and that was to leave money in the bank in case I wanted to do Alvarez to Darwin, which I didn't do.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, Porro's very unfortunate not to get a return as well the other night. He's getting on the end of things, isn't he? I think a big score, like we said about Trent, I think a big score for Porro's around the corner as well. So, and he's on your wall. I mean, like, what are you doing?
Do you know? I was thinking the other day. I've been burnt so many times by players that I've, kind of got in early, and then the next season's come, and for some reason I've just like Martinelli last year. Didn't start with him. Like I was really early on him the year before. Matoma didn't start with him this year. Obviously, really hot on him last year. Porro on the wall went against him. I don't know why. I kind of feel like I'm done with that player now.
Yeah, you're fickle, aren't you? Whereas I'm the opposite. I tend to like keep my relationships going for far too long, and like think about a player and go, well, I want them again.
I should start doing that more. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, you need to be less fickle for sure. Yeah, Tsimikas is benched as well. That's what we expected. That's what we expected tonight because Klopp said that Tsimikas wouldn't play every game. So rather than that being a worry, that's probably a good sign.
News. Yeah, great news for the way for him.
Yeah.
Switch up from Aniket. It comes down to Trippier and Matoma versus Saka and Gabriel. If I want to keep Haaland.
Saka and Gabriel, I think.
Got to be, isn't it? I don't mind Trippier.
I think no.
But Saka's the best player of the four, and Gabriel isn't that much of a compromise.
Out of those four players, Saka's in the 5. I think it's important to own at this point. Not essential, but in the 5. I'd want Trippier, but you can't have them all, like we said. And Trippier's probably that tier below.
Is any player essential?
No, not this season, I don't think. I mean, Salah's as close as you get, isn't he? Because of his consistency and his ability to hit a high score. I don't think Watkins is that level yet. As I said last week, I'll stand by that.
Still feel like he's over my shoulder.
He's looming. I still think Watkins isn't like, he's not going to get a 23-pointer again this season. Whereas, you're looking at Salah and Haaland thinking they're going to get those scores again. We're going to see that from them. Watkins is close though, consistency-wise, there's no question.
Just scored again tonight, I believe.
Has he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he is... We know from what he said, it's been saying the way Emery's playing him. Like he was talking about it post-match. He's not running the channels anymore. Diaby's doing that for him. So he's staying central and sticking to what he should be doing, which is scoring the goals. He still misses chances. I think when we get to forwards, his conversion rate has gone up from last season. But he's outperforming his XG more than any other player this season. I had a look at that. So his XG delta is highest of any player. 4.6, I think. Now, last season, it was about 2.4. He ended the season outperforming his XG by 2.4. This season, he's doubled that already. And at the moment, I look at it and think, there's no reason to think he can't go on outperforming his XG because of the confidence he's got. He's scoring goals like the one on Sunday that was a low XG chance that I just didn't think he was capable of scoring that type of goal. But, yeah, so I think what I learned is I've got to reassess and admit when you're wrong and do it quickly when it's a player like that. You just got to go, yeah, I got that one. Let's move, basically. And that's why I played the wild card, because I think I was lucky I had the wild card and could do that. Otherwise, I'd be like, oh God, I got that wrong.
You weren't scared.
I can't do anything about it.
Playing the wild card for Watkins.
I wouldn't say I'm scared of him the way I would be Haaland or Salah, but he is a player I want now because of the fixtures. Yeah.
Second look at midfielders. Then there's lots of decisions to be made. I think this season. Bailey at the top, the Diaby
nemesis.
Nemesis, that's the word.
Yeah.
Very good. 0.97 for him. Salah 0.73. I think it's a given that he's a good option, but not everyone's got him. You know, it's not a given. He's still 35% owned, something like that. Do you think would he be the priority out of everyone to get?
Yeah. Yeah, with the fixtures they've got, and you're going to captain when we get to the Matrix, you see you're going to captain a lot of these next 3 or 4 weeks. And he's not playing well. The data says otherwise, but he's not. I think his first touch was off against Everton. He didn't look like quite on it. But he still gets points when he doesn't play well. I think whenever I've not owned him, I've come to that conclusion that he doesn't have to have a good game to get double figures.
He was poor against Everton, I thought, again. And he was against Brighton as well.
I wouldn't say he was poor. I don't think Liverpool were that convincing.
No, they haven't been in quite a few games I've watched.
No. So I think that, the Forest game's an interesting one because we're a different team. We're going to defend like we did at Arsenal quite robustly, I think. Liverpool might struggle to break us down the way they did Everton. I don't think they didn't look like they were going to get through Everton. And in the end, it was a penalty and a breakaway goal. It was quite flattering, I think, that game for Salah and Liverpool. So while I would say Salah is near as you get to an essential player, that's mainly because of his consistency and the fact you're going to need to captain him in the fixtures he's got. I don't think it's because he's going to get like a 25-pointer any week now, necessarily.
Yep. Son and Saka are pretty much neck and neck, 6th and 7th, 0.68 and 0.66. Still think Saka's going to get rested against Sheffield United?
Well, I did until I saw him play 90 at Chelsea. And again, that really surprised me. I was like, because he took Odegaard and Martinelli off, didn't he?
It didn't, it didn't surprise me, but I don't know if it's the right thing he's doing with him.
So you still think there's a problem there, do you?
I don't know. I'm always a bit concerned when a player has had he must have had an injury to miss that City game. So there must have been something there. And he's played back-to-back 90 minutes and in the Champions League as well. He played like 88 or something. I mean, he's probably fine, but there's a part of me that just thinks when you flog someone like that who hasn't had a rest for so long and then has a little minor injury, it just wouldn't surprise me if he tweaks something again, because we see it all the time with players playing week in, week out like Saka. So I don't think he rests him. I'm not saying for a second I think he's going to get rested at Sheffield United, but if there was a recurrence of an injury, I wouldn't be too surprised.
No, I guess so. He is very durable though, isn't he? Because, we've seen...
Yeah, you have to be to play 90 games or something in a row.
Yeah, I mean, Sheffield United, I'm not saying they'll test it, but I imagine they'll not pull out of challenges, shall we say, on Saka and the rest. So, yeah, I still think with the Sheffield United Burnley fixtures and the fact they've got West Ham in the Carabao Cup, so he'll rest that game, won't he? If he hadn't played the 90 at Chelsea, if he'd have gone off after 70, 80 minutes, I'd be more inclined to go, yeah, okay, this could be an opportunity. He might keep him out of this game. But clearly when push comes to shove, he would rather take Odegaard and Martinelli off than take a Saka off who's got an injury problem. That tells me that Arteta, if you flogged him in that scenario, he's going to flog him. He's going to continue to flog him, I would say. Yep. So, yeah, that's how I think.
So other interesting players, I mean, Richarlison's climbing up the list. He's in the top 10.
Remember him?
Now. Don't even get me started.
4 shots per 90.
Yeah, 0.64. That's good numbers. He was about 0.1 when we both owned him.
Yeah, but he's creating chances, isn't he? That's the thing as well. So he's in that wide role creating for Son. He's not a bad option if you can't get to Maddison or Son, is he? Well,
no way.
You need to cover. I think covering the Spurs attack is worthwhile for sure. And if you can't get to Son and Maddison,
I haven't been impressed with Richarlison in the last few games.
No, he's infuriating still.
Industrious is like with the amount
not
of quality
a word you want.
No, not for FPL, but also I just think he's the weak link in the Spurs team as well. I think they could just do better than him. Yeah.
What do you think about the Saka Maddison call? Like, I've lost Maddison to get Saka. Do you think it's quite close? It is, isn't it?
It's very close. I mean, Maddison is 0.71. Saka's 0.66. We don't know who's got penalties out of either of them. Saka could give them away. Maddison and Son, we haven't seen one yet.
Both got 8 returns this season each. The only thing I would point to is Arsenal haven't clicked yet, and yet Saka's numbers are still strong, and he's still got 8 returns. And so, by contrast, Spurs are second in the attacking data, and they're creating lots and lots of chances, and yet the gap between Maddison and Saka's not that big. So I just think with these fixtures, Saka will probably... I predict that Saka will get in the top 3 in 3 or 4 game weeks' time. We'll see, but that's what I'd expect. If Arsenal can find some more attacking rhythm, which they should against this opposition.
Yeah.
So it is close though. Really hard, really tough call to make that.
I mean, Maddison
decision.
can operate from deeper, can't he? If they're looking to get a bit of control. But I mean, Saka has been pushed quite far out wide, which is what we've seen with Salah too. But in those two situations, I still back Saka to get something because he can always put a cross in, like he did against Chelsea in the last game when he was fairly anonymous in that game until the cross.
The thing is with Maddison, if a game's not going Tottenham's way or they're struggling to create, he's like Kane. He takes it on himself to go, well, I'm going to drop deeper and I'm going to be the one, I'm going to be the catalyst now. Whereas that's not really what you want because obviously he's then, particularly if Brennan's going to get in the team, because Brennan's a runner and he'll
still
be...
first name terms despite him losing.
Of course. If Brennan gets in, then Maddison will have another player to hit over the top as well as Son. I would say Richarlison, but I think Brennan's more explosive pace-wise than Richarlison. So I do see there's a chance that Maddison in some of the more competitive games, I mean, Palace could be one, he starts to play a bit more of a deeper role. That's my fear.
Well, one thing as well is that Maddison's only played 90 minutes once since game week 2.
Yeah.
He's been subbed off in every other game except for Sheffield United in game week 5 when they were desperately chasing the game. So when Spurs are winning, you know, when it's 2-0 and that's when you want your players, he's going off. Yeah,
he's definitely going off. That is a good point. Yeah. And I don't mind that with one of them, but to see Son and Maddison go off every game
keeps happening as well.
Yeah. No.
Look at something. I mean, Ward-Prowse is in 15th. I've got him 0.56. That's good numbers.
Yeah, but it's all early form, isn't it? He's not done that recently, has he?
No, he's been awful, absolutely awful. I still, like you say, as soon as he I sell him, he's getting that record free kick, 100%. Gordon in 16th.
Gordon's the one. Yeah.
He's the pick over the like. I mean, he's only a little bit ahead of Neto, 0.54 compared to 0.53. I mean, you've got players like Matoma there as well, who could be a fifth midfielder, 0.52. That's good. Palmer's an interesting one because I'm going to assume you've gone for him on the wild card.
Yeah.
36th, 0.44, but has the pens, but the rough fixtures. Pros and cons.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth going with in the short term to see if he does cement his start. There's obviously question marks over it in the mid and long term. He'll start against Brentford, but so my tactic is to hold him until I sell Diaby, and then it'll probably be upgrading. I'll probably move to Neto and Gordon, or Gordon and another player around that mark. So I don't think Palmer's going to be someone I hold on to long term, unless he cements his start. And to be honest, right now he's their best player. So I would say at the moment he's not getting dropped. When Nkunku comes back, then we'll see what happens. Will he go into the 10 and Palmer keep his role? Probably. There's a chance that could happen. For me, Palmer's got a start at the moment. So I don't worry about it yet, but certainly in a few weeks' time, I don't know how secure he'll be. Yeah. But I'm going to get 2 or 3 more price rises out of him. Yeah. If he scores another goal in the next couple of games, he's going up.
I back him to score against Brentford.
He could, sure. Yeah. So he's worth owning just for that short term and the price rises you get, I think. So. He's not
like I think Douglas Luiz still is going to be. I mean, I know he has scored a couple of open play goals, but he is still much more defensive than Palmer, for example. Palmer is looking like the real spearhead of that attack. I think he's a really nice pick. Look at Martinelli. I mean, I'm considering going for Martinelli over Saka, for example, save a bit of money. 63rd from his appearances so far.
Him and Odegaard, like really disappointing. Nowhere near the top 30, are they? And that's indicative of Arsenal's attacking form. And that's what I'm saying. Saka has been immune to the downturn in their attacking output, whereas Martinelli and Odegaard definitely haven't. Odegaard is the one that's hardest to explain because Martinelli's been in and out of the team. He's been had an injury. Odegaard's played every game, I think. And just hasn't been anywhere near as featured in their attacking play as he was last season. He's still got 5 returns. Well, one of them's a penalty. In fact, 2 of them's a penalty, aren't they? I think. So, he hasn't... I mean, that's I guess, with Havertz and Rice changing the system. He hasn't got forward as much. Yeah.
And then you've got Douglas Luiz in 89th for those considering him. That's what I mean about the penalties. The player I want to talk about is Adingra, because I did mention him a few weeks ago. The injury to March is savage, right? He's such a good player because he can just play in so many different positions for us. He can fill in at right back, at left back, on the either side of the wing. Like he's been. To call him a utility player is a bit harsh because he's better than that. But he's a very important player for the club. But with his injury comes, potentially, some nuggets of good fortune for other players. This is Adingra on the right. Bearing in mind, Adingra isn't a right winger. He's a left winger that's been converted to the right. He started off the season. This is kind of his minutes on the screen. He started off the season kind of, a bit in and out. He didn't start until game week 5, when March wasn't in the squad as well. He played 84 minutes. In that, he came off the bench kind of in Europe, but obviously didn't start that game. But lately, he's been trusted more. Gameweek 8, he started, played the 90 against Liverpool. That was when March moved back to left back. And against Man City as well, he played and March was having to fill out. So basically, because that competition from March has gone, because he moved to left back, that's basically cemented Adingra's start. And it was interesting as well against Bournemouth in game week 6. We were awful in the first half, absolutely awful. But Adingra was quality. Like he was the one player that I thought looking to make things happen. And he kept March off the pitch. March didn't come on, and we ended up winning that game. We've got 2 players that can play right wing, and that's Adingra and Buonanotte. Adingra is so far ahead of Buonanotte in terms of where they are, like not necessarily potential wise, but in terms of current ability. I just cannot see Buonanotte. He might eat into some of his minutes, but he's not going to start. I think Adingra is going to play. Yeah, the majority.
I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you, and I think I might try and keep 0-1 in the bank to make sure I can move Palmer to Adingra in case he takes off. And I have to get him before a rise, because I do think I want to see what Brighton do. He plays tonight, doesn't he? I want to see what they do after a European game. But I liked him pre-season as well. Like Villa, I watched some Brighton pre-season games and he really caught the eye. He's got an end product and he's fast, and he gives them that balance on that side. So I agree with you, and he's definitely in my mind. I think I favour Palmer just because of the Brentford fixture, and he's coming off the back of that good performance, man of the match, I would say, against Arsenal. So I think I'll just go Palmer for this game, but I do think moving to Adingra is definitely in my thoughts, and I want to be able to do that. Yeah. So we should credit FPL Running Pharmacist for this, by the way. You forgot to put a credit on. I'm very careful of that.
Stuck an image in the Dropbox.
Right, okay, maybe I thought I linked to the tweet. FPL Running Pharmacist, who contributed to our the podcast last week, and
I thought you made this, to be honest. That's why I didn't
No. So he did the SuperChats analysis last week, and he did this excellent analysis of Adingra here. So apologies for not putting the credit on the screen, but thank you very much for that. I think definitely he's got to be. He's another enabler and another reason why I think you don't need to sell Haaland unless you absolutely need to get to Salah, Son, Saka, Watkins. If you don't need to sell Haaland otherwise. There's nothing wrong with having Palmer or Adingra in your starting 11, I don't think, at the moment.
Yeah. The issue with Adingra, I think, is I look at midfielders and I look at their kind of routes to points. That's always the thing, isn't it? Do they have routes to points? Do they have free kicks? Do they have corners? Do they have penalties? All these things. You don't get any of that with Adingra. You're kind of reliant on open play. In a team with lots of other players that can score at any moment. Same with Matoma as well. I mean, a straight out shootout between Matoma and Adingra, I'd still expect Matoma to comfortably outscore it. But there's a lot of money to be saved.
Yeah, I think if you've got Adingra and then a fourth defender you can rotate in with him, then you can you only have to play Adingra in the fixtures where you think chances are going to be plentiful.
That's going to be the next
That's
3
when you do
for
it.
Sure.
Yeah. So you don't want to be playing a Palmer or an Adingra every game non-stop. You want a fourth defender to bring in rotation. But then we've got that in Tsimikas. I think it's possible. And so that's why I think, again, these are nice options. And we're not used to having 4 or 5 options around the 5 million mark to 5.5 that are actually credible options. So we should grasp it, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And then forwards, the final one. I mean, really, it's kind of Alvarez, Haaland, Watkins. They're the kind of main 3. I mean, Wilson maybe. He is top of the forwards for expected goal involvement on penalty per 90, 0.99, and now doesn't have that kind of competition. But it's are you three at the three up top, or are you not? That's kind of it, really. Is it Haaland, Watkins, and Alvarez, or I mean, I guess some people have sold Haaland. Alvarez, you got to look down to 15th to find him, 0.5. That's the lowest of a lot of players that we've talked about today.
Yeah, I haven't gone off him. I think he's an absolute quality player, and he will continue to get consistent returns. I don't know. Obviously, it's the ceiling, isn't it? I think Haaland is explosive. I don't think you can describe Alvarez in that bracket. I think he is what I thought Watkins was a consistent point scorer. I didn't think Watkins had it in him to get consistent double figures. He didn't last season, but what he's shown this season, he's got 2 double figures in 9 game weeks. He only got 3 in the entire season last season. So Watkins has, in my estimation, gone up a bit in that respect. Alvarez, has he got multiple double figures in him? He got 4 last season in 13 starts, to be fair. That would suggest he has. But to get them, he's got to be in a City team that's firing on all cylinders, and that isn't the case quite yet. So I don't think you can have Alvarez and Haaland and miss out on one of the other big players like Son, Saka, Salah. I think for me, I had to make that sacrifice. Not easy though, is it?
Sounds like you to sell Alvarez. We'll come on to my team in a bit.
Yeah, Alvarez and Maddison, is what I think you should do. But
it's weird not to see Haaland at the top of this, but there's the numbers are still good, 0.8. Watkins in 10th is interesting though, isn't it? Like 0.59 for him. I mean, it's good numbers, but the way everyone's talking about him is like, you've got to have him. He scored 2 goals again tonight. He's obviously returning. I think he's only not returning 1 week, but he's massively outscoring what this would suggest.
Yeah, I think like after this next 3 are over for Villa, there is an opportunity to reassess. They do have nice fixtures again, though, don't they? When their fixtures stiffen up, they have another run of good fixtures after that, I think, if you look at the long ticker. So I don't think that Watkins is a season keeper. I think when we get to that game week 15, City, Arsenal, Brentford, Sheffield United, Man United, that's a window where you could look to sell him. The only thing I would say there is over Christmas, Watkins is like Kane, always going to start. Whereas if you go for if you go for another attacker like an Alvarez, is Alvarez going to start every game over Christmas? I don't know. Probably not. He'll probably get 1 or 2 rests, right? Yeah. So with Watkins, you've got a secure starter every week, and that's a big thing at Christmas, I think.
Yep. I think once you've got him, you're not going to want to sell him.
No. Unless he starts going on a dry spell, but he hasn't had it yet, has he?
No.
He's got it in him, though. He's got it in him to dry up, but the fixtures suggest that that's not going to come soon.
I was really hoping Ferguson would start tonight. I wanted to see him put in a good performance in a crucial game. Like I said earlier, I think him not starting tonight rules him out completely of being a factor for us. I think his minutes are just going to be too low going forward. And obviously, if the Fati and Pedro combination works tonight, I mean, it might potentially. There's a comment in the chat about Pedro, 5.3.
Yeah,
don't hate it on pens with the fixtures.
No, I think if it depends whether you want to go 3 up top, isn't it? And I looked at it. And I probably will look at it again before I finally press the button, given that Wilson's now secure starter. I think I owe it to myself to have another final look at a 3-4-3. But I'm still, because of the value in midfield, it makes me think I can get an effective, cheap midfielder. And that's, is Palmer better than Pedro? Don't know. At the moment, he probably is, but it's opportunity, isn't it? I mean, we've been given more opportunities with the injuries to Isaac and the injuries to March and Welbeck. So we need to look at it. Yeah, just point out that the only player who's in the top 10 for all our data there, Chris Wood. Look.
Well, when he scored the 2 goals, I was like, oh, here we go. He's Forest new hero, and then you blow it.
He's going to come back soon though, so he's not an option.
Yeah,
but perhaps never was.
Yeah,
but well done, Chris, for the goals.
I mean, the only other player to potentially talk about is if Jesus is out for a bit. Where is Jesus? There's 14th, 0.52. Those stats aren't bad. I mean, Nketiah, if Jesus is out, could be an option for us.
Yeah, highlighted him. Yeah, yeah, I like him. I often go to him when Jesus is injured. Yeah, I think for this game possibly, but not a long-term keep, is he?
No,
I don't think. I think I think if you want a wild card, I think have another look at 3-4-3, given that Pedro is now another option again, and you might want to go Wilson. Wilson, Alvarez, Haaland might be an option to go, or Wilson, Watkins, Haaland rather is definitely worth looking at. But yeah, it's at the moment I think 3-5-2 is still the way I'm going to go.
Yep. Right, let's take a look at some predictions then. Just before we do that, I just want to, because Tricky Dicky, our man,
we've got the current scores.
We've got an update from where we are now.
Look at that. Why are we 10% better than last season?
I had to show this. Yeah, 60% I've had this season. You've had 60.7. You've got a 9% correct score, 10% around that. Tricky Dick's actually beaten us a little bit. But yeah, 60%. That's the best we've had in the four years.
Yeah, because last 2 seasons, it's always been around the 50% mark. And we've never been able to break it. Every now and then we get to about 52%. But this season, it's easier to predict the scores. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder why that is.
I mean, I tweeted like last weekend when I looked at all the results and I was like, everything's going exactly how we predicted it. You know, Newcastle are winning comfortably. Forest were winning 2-0 against Luton and all that. I mean, there was some changes, but we'll look at our fixtures now. I mean, I found this the easiest week to do these fixtures. I'm not saying they're going to be right, 100% right, but normally I have a few games.
60% right.
Yeah. Normally I have a few games where I'm like, this could go kind of either way. But, I mean, looking through this list, I mean, Palace Spurs, I mean, we're all expecting a Spurs win in that. We've both gone for a 2-0. Chelsea Brentford, both gone for a Chelsea win in that. I think they'll be too strong for them. I've gone for a 2-0, you've gone for a 2-1. Arsenal Sheffield United, surely a comfortable home win. It's just how many can they get? You've gone for 4 in that, so you're really backing them to
Yeah, I just think the injuries, they'll be overwhelmed with the injuries Sheffield United have got. I mean, they're not a strong side anyway, but with the injuries now, it's just, you've got to feel for them. I mean, I think there was encouragement against Manchester United for them, but that was Manchester United. So Arsenal are a better side than Manchester United, and they're at the Emirates. I just don't see it. Yeah.
The only game we've gone different in terms of the kind of the outcome is Bournemouth-Burnley, where you've gone for a draw and I've gone for a 2-1 Bournemouth.
I'm a big Burnley fan. I like them. I want them to stay up, and Bournemouth haven't won a game yet, and I think, I've got more faith in Company than I have Aviola. I think that, I think Burnley will get a point.
Yep. Wolves Newcastle, both gone for a Newcastle win. Surely.
Narrow.
I think. Did you see O'Neill's appearance on Monday Night Football? I thought he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I love it when they talk the tactics of.
He showed a lot, didn't he?
Yeah.
He gave a lot away.
He did. He really talks about how he was targeting Bournemouth's weaknesses in that match and how it kind of paid off. We have seen that a few times. We've seen Klopp do it when he talks about Trent's role in the team, and another manager, Lampard, tried to do it a little bit, I think, when he went on. Really interesting.
Must be hard to do if you've got trounced in the previous game, though. I mean, obviously, O'Neill was coming off a 2-1. He was coming off a 2-1 at his former club when Sky rang him up and said, "Do you want to come on and talk about it?" "Oh, what? Do I want to come on and basically dissect the way I beat my former club at the weekend?" "Yes, please, I will do that."
How far in advance do you reckon they get them on, or do they try?
Well, I don't know, but I wonder if he'd have been so keen if Bournemouth had won and he was coming on to talk. Yeah, who knows? But it was certainly a good scenario for Gary O'Neill to talk over, given that he'd gone back to his former club and got the 3 points.
Yeah. Garden Centre game next. West Ham Everton.
That was quick. Can I see more, Charlie, please? That was too quick. Yes. I think West Ham Everton is where I would go and buy my seeds and conifers. Yes,
that is the game live on Sky Sports at 1 o'clock.
Is it?
Of course. Yeah. We've both gone for a West Ham winning that 2-1 to heap more kind of unpleasantness on Everton after they're getting or losing points for their.
Well, if they lose 12 points, I don't see them recovering.
There's no way. They're probably down anyway, but that would really bit of a joke with Man City's current status.
I don't agree they're down anyway. I think they'll survive, but not with the points deduction as well. Yeah, I think they've got enough to survive.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the underlying data, it's not too bad. Ashley Young in the team.
No, but I think Dyche is finding a way. I think he's getting the most out of those players. He's got limited resources, but against Liverpool, I think they showed really good organisation, determination. It's the cutting edge that's the problem. I'm still not convinced on Calvert-Lewin, Beto. They're good players, but I don't think there's a supply from out wide they're used to having a team. So creativity and supply is still a worry for them. But I think they've got enough to stay up because there's weaker teams. I mean, Sheffield United, Luton, they're weaker teams, definitely. And Bournemouth, just unless they change the manager, which could come soon, I think they're in trouble too. So I think Everton will be fine. But with the points deduction, I don't know. That's trouble.
Villa Luton, this is the one that a lot of people are going to have their eye on. A lot of us going into this with, well, majority going in with 2, Cash and Watkins. A few of us going in with 3 with Diaby as well. Maybe Dean. I might have. We've both gone for a 3-0.
Well, they average 3 goals a game, don't they, at home? So I think there's a reason to think they're going to get that again. Yeah.
Brighton Fulham, 2-0 you've gone for here? 2-1? I think they are a bogey team, Fulham.
Oh, really? I like Leeds, basically.
Remember
Leeds were the
last year
opposite.
when we absolutely battered them and then
they won 1-0. Yeah.
Nicked it 1-0. Mitrovic has always been a pain for us. Luckily they haven't got him
They
anymore.
can't score, though. They can't score a goal for them.
And you called Bassi.
I did. Told you, didn't I?
Old Shirley.
Told you it'd be the weak point. He had a disastrous game, didn't he?
One of the worst performances I can remember.
He was obviously watching and he was like, oh no, I've been called out, and that got to him in the game. That's what it was. Big fan of BlackBox, Bassi.
Yeah.
Not now. Not after what I said.
But, Liverpool Forest, 2-0 I've gone for. You've gone for 2-1?
Yeah.
Give them a game then, you think?
I think so. I just think that away from home we're a bit stronger now. We scored 2 goals at Anfield last season. I think that will be in our heads when we go. I don't think we'll be scared. And I don't think for much of the Everton game there was too much to scare us from what I saw from Liverpool. They found a way, and they'll probably find a way against us. But I think we might nick one. Set pieces. Chris Wood again. Chris Wood's on fire.
Yep.
Liverpool's defence should be terrified.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then finally, it's the big one, the derby, where we're all selling Haaland and Alvarez and all these players. I've gone for a 3-1 Man City. You've gone for a 2-0. The Harry Maguire and Onana redemption story. Surely this is a bit too much for him. Surely not.
No, not happening. How bad could it get for them? I think if City went there full of pomp and at their best, it could be a slaughter. As it happens, I think Pep will just settle for the 3 points and then a professional performance.
They beat him at Old Trafford last year, didn't Jam?
Yeah.
When Rashford was good.
Yeah, right now they're just not. Yeah, I mean they struggled to beat FC Copenhagen, didn't they? Let's be fair, they struggled, and Sheffield United worried them as well.
Rashford is so off it; it's unbelievable. Like his touch and everything is just, it's just something not right in his head at the moment because he's just. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? Because we talk about confidence and how we shouldn't watch matches and make judgments on what we see. We should just go on data and not let the eye test be the noise that affects, our appreciation of that data. I don't say that, but others do, right? People say there's people out there who don't watch matches and they just pick on data, and it's proven to be some successful. But a player like everything wrong. I mean, his data is still okay, and the models still love Rashford. If you look at the models, top 10, good, body language and confidence, it's clear he's in confidence. Now, should we factor that into our FPL decisions? Well, I think the points say yes, we should. So it's one of the instances where you would go against what the model says because I think you have to, having watched him play at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, there's a few. Duncan Young in the chat says City only scored 5 goals in their last 4 league games, and they struggled against young boys at the Wankdorf for long periods in that match until they came through. Haaland had a goal this lad in the, and Alvarez did as well. And was it 0-0 at half time or there wasn't much in it at half time anyway?
Yeah, I think it was 0-0. But I think United have got mistakes in them. That's the trouble.
Oh yeah.
So it's not like City will have to break them down. I think with Maguire and Onana, they've got mistakes in them. Either Onana will get caught dwelling on the ball, or his distribution will be off, or Maguire will pull out of a tackle, or he'll do something. We're expecting a mistake, aren't we, from United's defence, and we're expecting at least one a game now, and to either be a mistake that leads to a chance. But when that's Haaland, it leads to a goal. That's the problem. I mean, like Brighton did it. Brighton gifted him a goal, apparently, according to you. I don't think it was a gift, but They made a mistake and he punished them. Now, United have got that in them, definitely. That's the problem. So even if City aren't at their best, they'll capitalise on any mistakes, I think.
Yeah. We're missing a thriller in Aston Villa playing me. AZ, Alkmaar. 4-1. McGinn, goal and assist.
Really? McGinn, Yelena's favourite, coming in with a goal and assist. Yeah, very good.
People saying the stream's disconnected.
I have been struggling, like it is stuttering for me.
So Whoop just launched a game-changing feature, and here's...
I think we just keep going, though.
Yeah, there's no... No, still going my end, so...
Yeah, we'll just have to keep going. It's laggy on YouTube, I think. YouTube's definitely got problems.
Yeah, if anyone's struggling, just refresh and set it back 10 seconds or so. Captain's data. The conversation this week is interesting, right?
This is tricky, right?
Really tricky. I think, we've got Haaland, Salah, Maddison, Son, Saka, Watkins, maybe even Bowen. They're all options.
Yeah, I think I'll make this decision quite late. I mean, Salah's the go-to, I think. I'm betting against Forest there. I do think we'll be tighter and we won't concede much to them. But Salah could be up against Toffolo, who isn't really, being kind to Toffolo, he's not really a Premier League fullback. And Aina may come back in, but I don't know if Cooper will drop Toffolo and play Aina. If he does play Aina, he's a better one-on-one defender, and I think he should play Aina, but I'm not absolutely confident he will. So if Toffolo starts, and I have every reason to think he will because he's done nothing wrong, then Salah could have some joy against him, I'm afraid. So I probably will go Salah on that basis.
Yeah. I think the stream's back now. I'll just reset it and...
It's very laggy.
Very laggy, yeah.
It's very laggy for me at this end as well.
Okay, well yeah, interesting. I mean, I had it on Haaland for long periods. I think they could blow Man United away. I think Watkins now, though, another goal.
Are you going to go
tonight.
Watkins?
I don't know if I'm going to buy Watkins. I don't know. I haven't even got him in my team at the moment. But he's got to be tempting, I think. I mean, that Luton game could be anything. Although we keep saying about Luton, and they haven't had a real drubbing. I mean, they did against Chelsea, but that's kind of expected. I mean,
it's just Villa at home, though, isn't it? Like I say, they've scored an average of 3 goals a game. So why would Luton at home be any different? You'd think that it would be even more than 3, really, if anything. So you've got to think we're both back to 3-0 win. In a 3-0 win, does Watkins get nothing? Not likely, is it?
He's almost certainly getting a return, but then I think Salah's almost certainly getting a return against Forest. I think Haaland's maybe the riskiest one because it is the derby and you don't know what's going to happen. So
yeah, I agree with that. I think how many mistakes have United got in them? They could capitulate totally and do what they did at Anfield, but I don't see it. I think Salah. It's between Salah and Watkins. And it's close. If Watkins had pens, I'd go Watkins. But it's the pens, isn't it? That's what Salah's got in his favour as well. He doesn't need to have a good game to get returns. And they've got pens in the last 2 games and been against 10 men in the last 2 games. So, I'm not saying that's going to happen again, but it easily could. Well, I mean, Forest concede pens like anything. I think we conceded the most of any team last season. So, I wouldn't want to bet against Liverpool getting another one.
Yeah. I just say, no, we are aware of the stream issues. It's nothing my end. My connection's all completely fine. I think they're just, like Mark said earlier, there is some issues with YouTube. So
it's peak time YouTube, 7:30, I guess.
Yeah, right? bear with us. If you missed out on any of it, always come back to it later or check it out on the pod. Up to, but nothing we can do, and we need to finish. So we're gonna carry on. The Matrix is interesting, and this is why the Haaland out move is gathering some momentum because there's only really game week 11 you're going to consider going for him. Yeah,
and this was Luke's point when he sold him in game week 8, in that there's game week 11 home to Bournemouth. You definitely go with him, or you want to have him, but then it's not until 16 where you need him again. I think it's the Luton game, isn't it? 16. So it's whether you can get through game week 11, and obviously if you've got Salah at Luton, you probably can, right? In terms of captaincy, so you're banking on him not getting scores that warrant his 14 million without the captaincy, which is fair enough, totally fair enough, as I said to Luke at the time. So and this is why Salah is important, because he probably is going to be your go-to captain over the spell. So you've got to have Salah, I think.
Yeah.
for this run.
I mean, there's options in game week 12. I mean, Salah versus Brentford, Saka versus Burnley, Son versus Wolves, even Fernandes versus Luton for Manchester United. And then Haaland's at Chelsea away. So you're almost certainly not going to go with. I mean, there's other games where you could make a case for Haaland because it's Haaland, home to Liverpool, for example. But there are other options that you can go for, particularly in game week 12. So it's going to be really interesting to see the different captaincy split. Because we tried it a few weeks ago. We went for Son, didn't we? Got that wrong. Salah ended up with the highest scorer. I feel like there's going to be someone each week. And this is hopefully where I can start getting it right and moving up the ranks a bit. But not going to be easy. It's not always easy to pick when there's. I mean, game week 12, good options all round.
But this is the challenge, and we had it for a spell last season, and I managed to get the captaincy right more often than wrong, and I got back into it. So yeah, that's the hope for you, I think, in that during this spell when the captaincy is up for grabs, if you get it right 80% of the time, you can make up a lot of ground. I think you've been unfortunate in the last 2 weeks because Salah has got the penalty and up against 10 men, right? So that's not going to happen every week, but he does look the strongest captain for this run. I mean, game week 13, you wouldn't go him against City perhaps, but you've got Son there as an option. If you've got Maddison, you can go him, of course, as an alternative. Yeah, I just think like there's definitely still credence to go without Haaland, but the Bournemouth game, yeah, I mean, that's risky. Bournemouth are poor and they make a lot of defensive errors. Now, the best scenario for people who don't have Haaland is Bournemouth lose again this weekend, sack the manager, and get a manager bounce at City, which could happen, right? Could happen. But if they go there with the current regime, I think they're getting thrashed, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, though, like, Salah's got Luton, so Salah's getting something in that. Like, even if Haaland gets a hat-trick, you'd still expect Salah to get double digits in that game. So then is the difference kind of negligible in that match? Yeah.
No, you could definitely get away with it. It's definitely not a high risk. No. Yeah. So, it's there. The evidence is there, and Luke put a very strong case together for game week 8. It's like, if you haven't gone now, do you do it now when you're closer to that Bournemouth fixture? Maybe it plays on your mind. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should still do it. Like I say, it depends. I wouldn't do it if you sell Haaland and you find yourself spending on Trent when you could have Simicast. I would question whether you need to do it, because if you've got that luxury of spending an extra 4 million on Trent, maybe you look again and try and get Haaland and try and keep Haaland. But if you're doing it to get crucial players for this run, for this fixture turn, then there's still merit in it for sure.
Yep. Alex Mason says, "As I hope you bought in Evan Ferguson rested tonight." I don't think he's rested, mate. I think he's dropped. This is too big a game to be resting players. So yeah, he's too big a gamble for me. Right, drum roll. Wildcard time.
Oh, you going with me first?
Let's go straight into it. I want to rip it apart. I want to give you the full treatment that we always do on these Black Box episodes. Can't.
Yeah.
The only thing is your bench is awful. Absolutely awful.
Well, I've got one active. Well, I've got two active
for now.
Subs. Yeah. Well, yeah, but I can move a 4-5 defender to another 4-5 defender, can't I?
Yeah. Well, talk us through it. This is what you've put together.
Yeah. So Areola, Cash, Trippier, Gabriel, Salah, Saka, Diaby, Son, Palmer, Haaland, Watkins is the 11. The bench is Strakosha, Simicast, Taylor, Mubama.
Our old mate.
Got to keep him, haven't you? I mean, the other thing that's interesting tonight is that Baldock could go down to 3-8. So I might go Taylor to Baldock and get another 0-1 back. Because why not? Because, am I really going to need to play Taylor anytime soon when I've got 4 defenders? I don't think so. So I might as well get an extra 0-1 that could help me move Diaby to Gordon and Palmer to Neto in a few weeks' time, or Palmer to another. So I think, saving every 0-1 is important. It's helped me so far, and it's got me this team by being really, really tight on the money of every 0-1 and making early transfers to make sure I locked in as much as I could. It's enabled me to get, the 5 players that I think are important, plus Trippier, who's kind of a luxury. So owning those 6 is going to be strong for me, I think. It's difficult for anyone else wildcarding who hasn't watched team value to get to it. And I don't think many teams will have that 6. But if you don't have Haaland, you can spread the money and have an even better team in terms of, you can have a better defender than Gabriel. You don't need to have Palmer. It's actually you could have Bowen. But don't want to do that. I think I want to lock Haaland in. I think I'm going to want him.
Yeah, I mean the only real risks here are Diaby and Palmer, because Diaby just hasn't really been delivering. Looks like he's going quite quite wide. He's more foil than kind of the main man. And then Palmer is maybe reliant on penalties, which is, if he hadn't scored 2 penalties, there's no way he'd be featuring in your team.
Yeah, so I've got to keep I've got to keep 0-1 back at least to go Palmer to Odinga if I see him dropped out the team or Odinga catches fire. So ignore that 0-1 bank. That's not correct because it doesn't factor in the price rises I've caught already and the money I've saved to caught it. So I think I've got 0-1 in the bank on this team, and it could be 0-2 if I go Taylor to Baldock. If Baldock goes down tonight. So I want to keep that 0-1 or 0-2 to move off Palmer if I have to Odinga, because I do think you're right. I think long-term he could be a better pick. But the plan will be Diaby to Gordon as soon as this run for Villa is over, and then upgrade Palmer as well, is what I'd do, I think. But because I think selling Diaby just doesn't feel right for the Luton game. Because you know what will happen? I've done this to get Watkins, and then I'll lose Diaby, and then he'll be the one that profits over these next 3, and then it would all be a big mistake. So I'm protecting myself from that error by keeping Diaby.
Yeah,
I think it's fair enough with Luton and Fulham in the next 3. I don't say Forest is an easy game.
Yeah, no, I like it. It's upsetting. I think it's all your scrimping and saving has led you to this, because if you were, say you were 0.3 or 0.4 off this, you'd have to make a downgrade. You'd have to take Trippier out probably. Yeah. Or move Diaby down to someone like a Gordon. But it looks really strong, and it's hard to know how I'm going to catch you up, to be honest. But
yeah, I mean, there's no differential there other than the fact that I've got 6 big players.
Yeah.
That's the differential, and I've got to hope that gets me the advantage. But I don't know. I mean, I'm doing it from a position of strength as well. I mean, I've got a good rank as well, so why would I take a risk at the moment? If I was in your position, I wouldn't have Haaland probably. I'd probably go against him.
Well, you can try and help me out with my team now. I've got Areola in goal. Return. I've got the Udogie issue, who's now a doubt. Hopefully, we get some team news on that, so I can kind of make the decision. Because if he plays, then that's fine. I can just leave him in. Cash and Gabriel. I've got Salah, Son, Maddison, Diaby, Ward-Prowse, Haaland, and Alvarez. What annoys me is I quite like this team. Other than Ward-Prowse, I don't really feel like there's any major issues here.
What are your options then?
Well, I've got 2 free transfers.
Oh, okay. So take a hit for sure then. Yeah.
So, I mean, I've been talking about this kind of in quite a bit. I mean, Alvarez my first thoughts were Alvarez and Son out for Saka and Watkins. That's the easiest way of me getting both of those players in. But then Monday happened, and I didn't really want to kind of do it anymore.
Okay.
I think Son's going to be Golden Boot challenger.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, but you can do Alvarez, Maddison, and Ward-Prowse, can't you? For Saka, Watkins, and a cheap midfielder.
You would think that, wouldn't you? So that was my next move. I was going to do Alvarez to Watkins, Maddison to Saka, and that. Do you know how much money I've got in the bank?
No.
4.9.
So you've only got 4.9 left.
So I can't afford Palmer or Odinga.
Oh, because he went up.
Because he went up. Yeah.
Why didn't you go early on? See that's why didn't you go early on Palmer?
Because I didn't know what I was doing. I wanted more information about what to do. I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted Palmer. That's the thing.
That's what I've been doing this season. I've been making my decisions early in order to make sure I don't miss out on that. And that's risky because I don't have all the information, but it's worked because I've got away with it. And you can say it's lucky, but I've made my decisions early enough where, in your scenario, I would have made up my mind straight away and gone, right, I need to get Palmer before the rise, Ward-Prowse to Palmer. I don't need to make the other 2 moves, but I've locked in the Palmer increase to give myself the option. And then you're not committed to the other 2, but you have that option. Whereas by delaying, you haven't given yourself the option.
Yeah, but the problem is that getting Palmer meant that it didn't make it easy for me to get both unless I did that move. I wasn't sure what was happening with Alvarez. The rest makes me think maybe he's a hold. Also, I had the Udogie flag as well. So if I do that means I'm potentially playing with 10 men.
The minute you decided I don't want to get rid of Son, you do Ward-Prowse to Palmer. Because then you know you're going to have to, if you're going to get to Saka, you've got to sell Maddison. That's the only way, isn't it then? So at that point, you should have done Ward-Prowse to Palmer. You don't have to do the other two moves. You can wait for more information on the other two.
Bear in mind, Palmer went up Monday night and Arsenal played on Tuesday.
Yeah, but after the game against Fulham, when Son scored, you just make the move then. You do it then. Because that's what I told myself after that game, I can't sell Son. So I made transfers with the wild card with that in mind. And it meant I got Palmer straight away. I think I made some movement. So that's what I'm trying to do this season. It has worked, and I think this is a good example why you do that, because to be 0-1 away is absolutely painful. I'd be tempted to do a -8 then. I'd sell Botman.
It's painful, but then there's other potential options, the other routes that I could go down. Like I could just ignore Watkins and Saka and just do Ward-Prowse to a Brighton midfielder, for example. Like if I stick with my strategy, which I'm trying to do, which I've been doing really badly at, of dealing with weakest links, it's Udogie and Ward-Prowse. They're the two weakest players. So I could get in Matoma and Dean, for example. It means I'm ignoring potentially the two biggest scorers of the week, but
yeah. Do you need one of Saka and Ollie Watkins?
If I'm not going to captain them, because I go for Salah.
Yeah. You could get away with it. I mean, there's no question that Maddison and Alvarez could outscore them. I think given the fixtures, it's probably unlikely, but it could happen. But the other question is, do you want Watkins and Saka long term? I would say you do. That's the other. That's why I've wildcarded, because I think Saka and Watkins are two players that I probably want to commit to, whereas Maddison and Alvarez are two players that are really strong and have done very well. But are they absolute? Do they have to be season keepers? And I think if you keep Son, you don't need to have Maddison as well. And if you keep in Haaland, you don't need to have Alvarez as well. So I still think that's the best route for you. I would, Sai, who's in our WhatsApp group, who takes hits every week. He would advocate taking a -8 and selling Botman as well while you're at it.
Yeah.
And just doing the
Botman to Simicast, Ward-Prowse to Palmer.
Maddison
to Saka and Watkins. Yeah.
And do you think Saka and Watkins can get 8 points back on Alvarez and Maddison in the fixtures they've got? They could.
It's not obvious though, is it? I still think Alvarez and Maddison are decent. It's one of the reasons why I held off, because I just didn't know. Like, there was so many different paths and ways I could go. I just couldn't make a decision.
The other thing is, Watkins and Saka are both going up again before deadline, so they're going to go 0-1. Both 0-1 away from you again. So it's just it's getting harder and harder to get to them, isn't it?
I mean, I've got enough to do Maddison to Saka for free.
Right.
But then I've still got Ward-Prowse. I don't know.
Okay.
There's enough about my team.
I think you could possibly go without Watkins and get Saka. Of the two, I would say Saka's probably the most urgent. I would say it's very close, isn't it, between Saka?
Or I go Martinelli. I do Alvarez, Maddison, and Ward-Prowse to Martinelli, Adingra, and then Watkins. So I just back on Martinelli over Saka.
Again, though, I refer to the fact that Saka's someone you want for the season, possibly. And Watkins looks like he's in that mould as well. And it's just they're going to get further away. Like, they're going to go 0-1 tonight, up again, and then if they do deliver Saturday or Sunday, they're going up 0-1 again. So by the time that you're happy to make your next transfer, they're going to be 0-2 ahead of, that's another 0-4 you've got to spend if you don't go now.
Yeah,
this is it. It's really hard because it drives you into early decisions, and you think, I'm taking a risk, I'm being rushed, but that's what the price rises do.
If I had the money, it would be Maddison, Ward-Prowse, and Alvarez to like I said, to Watkins, Adingra, and Saka. I really like those moves. And if I'd done Botman to Simicast, like I said last week on the stream, I'd have that extra 0.1.
No, my God.
Oh, we have fun, don't we?
Jeez.
We have fun.
That's really tough, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait for the Udogie news. Like I said. And I've got the FPL show tomorrow where I'll be talking about my moves, and it's going to be this again for the fourth time.
Yeah, you keep talking about them and not committing to it. I mean, but Saka and Watkins are up tonight, right?
No.
So they're not?
No.
Okay.
No.
Right, so you've got a bit more time.
No, it's Saka's 80 on FPL statistics.
Don't go on FPL statistics. Go on Yeah, I'm from my source says that both are up tonight.
What are you using?
Fix.
Oh, can't say that.
No, but it's true.
Are they more reliable? They're nowhere near on FPL statistics.
I would what I do. I normally look at all the tools, and if two of them have got it, then I go with that.
Okay.
And to be honest, this season, if one of them got it, I go with it because I don't want to run the risk of losing the 0-1. I think there's a very real risk that Saka and Watkins do go up tonight. So if you're going to do it, I'd say you've got to do it tonight.
Yeah.
If you, I mean, it's up to you.
Maybe I just do Alvarez and Ward-Prowse to Adingra and Watkins.
Yeah, I don't think you need to get them both necessarily, but if you don't get either of them and they both go up 0-1 tonight, I mean, that for me this season, I just haven't allowed that to happen. I've just been determined not to let players that I want long term get away from me in the prices. So hence the wild card.
Everyone's suggestions in the chat are just so scattergun. That's exactly where my thoughts are.
It's really hard.
Well.
I mean, I think the obvious move would have been what you said, but the 0-1 just kills it. Otherwise, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
you do it right now, live on the stream, probably.
Yeah, sucks, right?
But nobody else at 4-9 you can get.
Souček is the only one.
No, I'd do that. No, without a doubt.
Get Souček?
Yes, without a doubt.
Do I want Souček
with the fixtures they got? But it's not. It's just you're doing it to get Watkins and Saka for this week for 0-4 less than you'll have to get them in for later on.
But then I'm playing with 10 if Udogie doesn't play.
Udogie would be fine.
You said that about Botman.
I'd do it without hesitation. Without hesitation. Souček is a better option than Ward-Prowse against Everton, in my opinion. He might not get the minutes. Let's see if he gets subbed tonight. He's getting subbed in games. He's going off because Kudos is coming on. But Kudos would have played. He started tonight, didn't he? So I think Souček should get 70, 75. And he's definitely going to start against Everton because of the set-piece threat. So I'd do that, for sure.
6 million with Souček coming in. Oh, my God. Anyway, that's enough.
Okay.
That is definitely enough of that. I mean, I might do. We'll see how I feel. Rahul just says, not Souček.
You watch Souček score at the weekend.
Watch Ward-Prowse score at the weekend, I think is more.
Don't do it, says Mal. Okay, fair enough.
God.
Fair enough. I'm very trigger happy with my transfer.
You are, that's because you're doing well. It's easy to be trigger happy when you're doing well. Yeah. BlackBox Leagues, just before we finish, congratulations to Niklas, who is top, 93 points, absolutely smashing it. He's 179 points ahead of me. Incredible. And he's
there's a team, Dan better than Az. Who's this? Number 4.
Josh Hitchcliffe second, Hardick's in third, Dan better than Az in fourth. That's not difficult though this season, is it? Dan Clark in fifth, Joe Cassidy in sixth, Akram Simber in seventh, Gerard McIntyre in eighth, Kevin Prendergast in ninth, and Charles Hancock in 10th. Massive week for quite a lot of managers. Charles Hancock into the top 10 with a score of 112. Very impressive. Ryan is overtaking me by 3 points. He had a good score of 90. Liesel continues to do well. She's putting a bit of pressure on you. He's only 40 points behind you in seconds.
Very well. Yeah.
And Natalie finally had a good week as well. 95 points for her. She's 484. The Black Box League Godfather tier. Avi is top with 639. Lawrence Shan is second. Both got over 100 this week. 612. Ken Mia, Nick Baker, Connor Gray, Yanis, Mr. Mark Southerns in 7th. Nathan Joblin, Tim Kettenlock, and Pratik round up the top 10. Congratulations, everyone. You're all doing really well this year.
Early days, though. As we showed at the top of the show when I was 5.5 million at this time last year. I know. There's a long way to go. So,
that's what I need to keep in mind.
You do, yeah. You just need it. You need a few captains to come in and a bit of luck to go your way, and it will turn it around.
I wish I could get a Dingra.
I know, but I honestly think the Souček move's not a bad one. I think you're only getting him for a couple of weeks until you can upgrade him. But what it does, it gets you Saka and Watkins for this week at a price that is cheaper than they're going to be when you move to them later. I think it makes sense. It's a -4, but those 3 players could easily get that back, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, something to think about. Thanks, Mark. I think. Or you're trying to talk me into
I'm
a
not.
trap with
I'm not, I'm
Souček.
just, no, I don't. You're not trapped with him. You can move away from him. That's the beauty of him, because you only need a 0-1 to go from Souček to a Palmer or an Odinga. You could sell Turner, couldn't you, to a 3-9 keeper and get the 0-1 if you wanted to. So you can get away from him quite easily. Yeah. But it's just you can't do it this week without taking a -8. And a -8...
-8 hurts. I think I've only taken 2 in all the years I've played. And I'm pretty sure they were both awful. Awful as well. Right, we're going to end it there. Mark, thank you for joining me. I'm glad you made it through.
Got through it.
Feeling
2
all right?
hours. Yeah, no, I'm okay. Wasn't 100%, but it was all good. And sorry about the stream. I don't know what happened there. Maybe that was reflecting my my cold. I don't know.
Yeah, no idea. Honestly, everything my end looks fine. You haven't cut out at all for me, so it can't be my connection. Must be a YouTube thing. There'll be issues on the pod, so feel free to listen to that back. But yeah, we'll be back next week, and we'll see how your wildcard's gone and whatever mad transfers I made. We can. What I'll do is I'll look at all the different paths
don't do
I could have
that.
taken.
No, don't do that. I mean, I shouldn't compare my old team to my wildcard team, but you do, don't you?
You can't help
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure if I don't do it, someone will point it out to me anyway, if that wildcard team doesn't do as well.
Yeah.
That's what Twitter's like.
And me as well.
That's fine. Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah.
Nice. Right, thanks everyone for watching. Do give us a like if you've enjoyed it. Do just make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we will be back next week.
Bye-bye.